Hello and welcome to Stoxies. Today we will talk about Elon Musk, who arrived hours before bankruptcy, not once, but many times. And yet, today he is the man who forced the entire automotive industry to change course. And in a moment, we will see exactly how this happened. Elon Musk is not just a wealthy businessman. He is a figure who divides, provokes, and influences millions of people. Some consider him a genius, others dangerous. What is certain is that everything he touches never stays the same. And to understand how we got to Tesla and everything it changed, we have to go back a long way. We will travel back in time to get to know Elon Musk's childhood and adolescence, his family environment, the difficulties he faced, his first interests, and the elements of his character that began to show early on that he was not an ordinary child. Elon Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. His family was educated and relatively wealthy. His father, Errol Musk, was an engineer, while his mother, May Musk, was a nutritionist and model with a strong professional activity. His parents divorced when Elon was still a child, a fact that strongly marked his childhood. He has stated in interviews that his relationship with his father was difficult and often painful. After the divorce, Elon chose to live with his father, a decision that he later admitted was not easy. From a very young age, Elon Musk stood out. He was not the kid who ran around the yard to play or who tried to be popular at school. On the contrary, he was introverted, often lost in his thoughts, with an almost obsessive love of reading. He himself has said that he could read up to 10 hours a day. From encyclopedias to science fiction, books became his refuge. He was particularly fascinated by stories that talked about the future of humanity, space, and technology. However, this isolation also had its price. During his school years, Elon Musk was a victim of intense bullying. His classmates considered him weird, overly intelligent, and socially awkward. There have been reported incidents where he was subjected to verbal and physical violence. In one of the most serious incidents, he was beaten so badly by a group of students that he had to be hospitalized. These experiences made him even more introverted, but at the same time, they pushed him to find solace in knowledge and creation. Instead of breaking him, these difficulties seem to have strengthened his inner strength. At the age of 10, Elon was introduced to the world of computers, and that changed everything. He taught himself how to program, using an old computer his family had acquired. It didn't take long for his talent to show. By the time he was 12, he had already created his first video game, titled Blastar. He sold this game to a computer magazine, earning around $500. It was the first time Elon Musk had turned his knowledge and imagination into something tangible and with financial value. As he entered adolescence, Elon Musk began to ponder intensely about the meaning of life. He read philosophy, physics, and scientific writings, trying to understand how the universe works and what the role of man is in it. He has reported that during this period, he also experienced moments of intense existential anguish. He was not interested in typical teenage interests. He was preoccupied with big, fundamental questions. This need to solve the world's problems began to become a core element of his personality. South Africa, in the 1970s and 1980s, was not an easy environment. The country was still under apartheid, with intense social tensions and limited opportunities. Elon Musk felt that this environment limited him. He began to think about fleeing early on. He didn't just want to leave the country, he wanted to be at the center of technological development. During his adolescence, Elon realized that if he wanted to achieve his dreams, he had to leave South Africa. Another reason was the mandatory military service, which he did not want. Using his mother's Canadian citizenship, he decided to immigrate to Canada. This decision was not easy, but it was decisive. It was the first big risk of his life. His early years in Canada were tough. To survive, Musk did all kinds of jobs. He worked on farms, cleaned barns, and for a while worked in a sawmill. One of his toughest jobs was at a lumber mill, where he cleaned a boiler full of hot sludge. A job that was dangerous and exhausting. He would later say that these experiences hardened him. They taught him the meaning of physical fatigue, perseverance, and endurance. They were life lessons that he would never have learned in a university classroom. Despite the difficulties, his main goal remained education. Musk enrolled at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, one of the most famous universities in Canada. There he studied physics and economics, but above all, he continued to cultivate his passion for technology and the future of humanity. He was not the most sociable student, but he stood out for the intensity with which he thought and talked about ideas that seemed science fiction. At Queen's, he also met people who would influence his life, among them his first wife, Justine Wilson. After 2 years in Canada, Musk transferred to the United States, specifically to the University of Pennsylvania, one of the most prestigious universities in the world. There, he followed a demanding and unusual academic path, choosing to study economics and physics simultaneously. He earned a degree in economics from the Wharton School and a degree in physics from the College of Arts and Sciences. The combination of these two subjects proved to be decisive for his later career, as it gave him both the technical understanding of scientific phenomena and the business thinking to exploit them. During his student years, Musk did not limit himself to just classes. He had already begun to think entrepreneurially and look for ways to put his ideas into practice. Together with his fellow students, he rented a house and turned it into a place for parties and social events to cover part of his expenses. At the same time, he spent endless hours reading scientific articles and discussing the future of energy, technology, and humanity. After graduating from the University of Pennsylvania, Elon Musk was accepted into a PhD program in physics at Stanford University. However, his stay there was extremely short. Just 2 days after the program began, he decided to leave. His decision was directly linked to the spirit of the times. The mid-1990s were the heyday of the internet, and Musk believed that he could contribute more meaningfully to the world through entrepreneurship than through academic research. The choice to leave such a good university was not easy, but it reflects his way of thinking. The practical application of knowledge and the solution of big problems have always been a priority. His student studies did not only give him degrees, but also equipped him with a way of thinking based on logic, scientific analysis, and constant questioning of data. In summary, Elon Musk's student years and studies were the foundation on which his entire subsequent career was built. The difficulties he faced, the choices he made, and the knowledge he acquired helped him develop into a person who is not afraid to take risks, innovate, and envision a different future. His academic path proves that education is not only a matter of titles, but mainly a way of thinking and attitude to life. In 1995, Elon Musk was 24 years old and had just dropped out of his PhD at Stanford after just 2 days. He believed the internet was on the verge of a huge change, and he didn't want to miss out. Together with his brother, Kimball Musk, they started a company with no real capital, working non-stop, sleeping in the office and living on the bare essentials. The original idea for the company, which was initially called Global Link Information Network and later renamed Zip2, was to offer digital city guides. Zip2 enabled newspapers to bring their content online, adding maps, business listings, and information about services and stores. It was essentially a precursor to today's Google Maps, Yelp, and TripAdvisor at a time when the internet was still in its infancy. At first, most newspapers were skeptical of the idea. But Musk persisted, personally visiting potential clients and trying to convince them that the future of news and advertising was digital. Gradually, Zip2 began to close deals and attract investor interest. The first major investment came from Moore Davidow Ventures, which put about $3 million in the company. But with the money came conflict. The investors considered Musk inexperienced in the role of CEO and decided to bring in an outside CEO, effectively removing control of the company he had founded from himself. For Musk, this was one of the most difficult points of his career. Despite internal tensions, Zip2 continued to grow. It partnered with major newspapers like the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune, and its product began to be widely used. The company had now proven that its business model worked and that there was real value in what it offered. In 1999, at the height of the dot-com era, Compaq bought Zip2 for about $307 million. From this deal, Elon Musk, who owned about 7% of the company, earned about $22 million. He was only in his late 20s and now had the capital he needed to take the next step. Zip2, after its acquisition, was absorbed by Compaq and gradually ceased to exist as an independent company. Its name was lost, but its importance remained enormous for Musk's career. He invested almost all of the money he gained from the sale in the creation of X.com, which later evolved into PayPal and brought him even greater profits. The story of Zip2 shows that Elon Musk's success did not come suddenly. Before becoming world famous, he failed, was questioned, and lost control of his first company. However, through this experience, he gained knowledge, capital, and self-confidence. Zip2 may never have become a giant, but it was the first and most crucial step on a path that changed entire sectors of the global economy. Zip2, after its acquisition, was absorbed by Compaq and gradually ceased to exist as an independent company. Its name was lost, but its importance remained enormous for Musk's career. He invested almost all of the money he gained from the sale in the creation of X.com, which later evolved into PayPal and brought him even greater profits. The story of Zip2 shows that Elon Musk's success did not come suddenly. Before becoming world famous, he failed, was questioned, and lost control of his first company. However, through this experience, he gained knowledge, capital, and self-confidence. Zip2 may never have become a giant, but it was the first and most crucial step on a path that changed entire sectors of the global economy. At the same time, another company, Confinity, was developing a simple but extremely practical product, PayPal. Instead of operating like a bank, PayPal allowed for fast person-to-person money transfers. The product spread rapidly, especially among eBay users. The competition between XCOM and PayPal was fierce and expensive. Both companies burned through huge sums to attract users. Finally, in 2000, the two sides decided to merge, creating a single company with Elon Musk as CEO. However, the merger did not bring peace. Musk wanted to keep the XCOM name and technologically restructure the entire system. The rest of the team, however, believed that PayPal was a stronger brand and that Musk's changes were endangering the company. Internal conflicts quickly escalated. During one of Musk's trips, the board of directors makes a drastic decision. They remove him from the CEO position and replace him with Peter Thiel. Shortly thereafter, XCOM is officially renamed PayPal, and Musk's original vision is sidelined. Despite his removal, PayPal is a huge success. In 2002, it is acquired by eBay for about $1.5 billion. Elon Musk, as the largest shareholder, receives about $165 million from the deal. This money becomes the basis for what follows. With it, Musk founds SpaceX and invests decisively in Tesla. Without PayPal, his path, and perhaps the entire history of modern technology, would be very different. Years later, in 2023, Musk renames Twitter to X. For many, it was a strange decision. For him, however, it was a return to his original dream. XCOM wasn't just a failed startup. It was the first step towards the idea of the Everything app, a platform that combines communication, payments, and financial services. The story of XCOM shows that some ideas fail not because they are wrong, but because they are ahead of their time. Elon Musk lost control of his company, but he gained the experience and capital that allowed him to change the world. And maybe, after all, X was the plan all along. Many people believe that Elon Musk founded Tesla. But the truth is a little different. Tesla was founded in 2003, not by Musk, but by two engineers, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Their vision was simple but revolutionary, to prove that an electric car could be fast, beautiful, and desirable. At the time, electric cars were considered slow, boring, and doomed to fail. No one took them seriously. Elon Musk appears a little later. He has already sold PayPal and has about $180 million in savings. He could live comfortably for the rest of his life. Instead, he chooses to take a risk. He invests in Tesla and becomes chairman of the board. Not because he thought he would make a quick buck, but because he believed that the world needed to change. Climate change, fossil fuels, and oil dependence were huge problems for him. For Musk, electric cars weren't just a product, they were a mission. Tesla's first car was the Roadster, an electric sports car based on a Lotus chassis. On paper, it sounded impressive, but in practice, it was a nightmare. Delays, technical problems, and exploding production costs. Tesla was burning through money. Each Roadster cost more than it sold for. Investors began to withdraw, and the media openly spoke of an impending collapse. 2008 was the darkest year. Tesla was one step away from bankruptcy. So was SpaceX, Musk's other company. Elon Musk had almost wiped out his personal fortune, and then he made a decision that changed everything. He put everything he had left into Tesla, literally everything. If it failed, he would have nothing. Just before the end, the turning point came. One last investment, one last lifeline. Tesla survives. And not only that. A few years later, it introduces the Model S, an electric sedan that is fast, luxurious, and in many cases better than traditional cars with internal combustion engines. For the first time, the world is starting to see Tesla in a different light. Traditional automakers initially laughed, until they stopped laughing. Tesla was no longer a joke, it was a threat. The Model 3, the Model Y, gigafactories, and global growth followed. All of this against predictions, analysis, and doubt. The story of Tesla is not just a business success. It is a story about risk, obsession, and the price of vision. Elon Musk could have lost it all. Instead, he changed an entire industry. Tesla was born from an idea that most people thought was crazy and was saved by a man who refused to play it safe. Because sometimes, progress only comes when someone is willing to risk everything. And the strangest thing is this: Elon Musk says that all this is just the beginning. The question is it vision or exaggeration? His story continues. At the beginning of the 21st century, space seemed distant again. After the Apollo missions and the glitter of the Cold War, launches had become routine, precise, and rarely exciting. Rockets would launch, complete their mission, and disappear forever. Space was a place for governments and state agencies, not for individuals, not for radical change. And then SpaceX appeared. Space Exploration Technologies Corporation was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk, an entrepreneur who had already made a fortune in the world of technology. He did not come from NASA, nor from the military industry. He came from the world of software, where failure is part of the process and innovation involves risk. His goal was almost utopian: to drastically reduce the cost of space travel and pave the way for human presence beyond Earth. In its early years, SpaceX looked more like a gamble than a serious space organization. A small team of engineers worked tirelessly, trying to build a rocket from scratch. The first Falcon 1 launches ended in failure. Each failed rocket meant lost money, lost credibility, and one step closer to the end. For a long time, SpaceX was considered an ambitious experiment that would not last. In 2008, the company reached the brink of collapse. The fourth launch of Falcon 1 was perhaps its last chance. If it failed, there would be no money for another attempt. When the rocket finally managed to reach orbit, it was not just a technical success. It was the moment when SpaceX proved that it belonged on the space map. Shortly after, NASA signed a contract with it, permanently changing the course of the company. The real revolution came with the Falcon 9. For decades, rockets were seen as expendable. The idea of reuse was considered either impossible or too risky. SpaceX dared to challenge this dogma. When, in 2015, a Falcon 9 first stage returned and landed vertically, the world saw something that seemed like something out of science fiction. From that moment on, launch costs began to fall, and the balance in the space industry changed. At the same time, SpaceX developed the Dragon spacecraft, a vessel capable of carrying cargo and later people to the International Space Station. In 2020, astronauts were launched from American soil on a privately owned rocket for the first time in history. It was a moment that symbolized the transition to a new era where public-private sector collaboration becomes crucial for space exploration. At the same time, SpaceX has begun filling the sky with thousands of small satellites. The Starlink program aims to provide high-speed internet to every corner of the planet. For some, it is a tool for progress and connectivity. For others, a source of concern about the future of night skies and the congestion of low Earth orbit. But beyond the controversy, Starlink has a clear role: to finance SpaceX's biggest dream. That dream is called Starship, a huge, fully reusable vehicle designed not just for orbit, but for long journeys. The Moon, and especially Mars, are at the center. Starship tests are violent, noisy, and often end in explosions. But for SpaceX's philosophy, every failure is a given, every wreck a step closer to success. Of course, SpaceX's path is not without criticism. Elon Musk has been accused of overpromising and a demanding work environment. Many question whether colonizing Mars is a realistic goal or just a powerful narrative. Yet, even the company's critics acknowledge that without it, today's space landscape would be very different. SpaceX didn't just make space cheaper, it made it exciting again. It opened up conversations about the future of humanity, about whether we are tied exclusively to Earth or whether the next chapter of our story is written further afield. And perhaps one day, when people look up at the blue planet from the surface of Mars, we will remember that it all started with an idea that many thought was impossible. In 2016, Elon Musk founded Neuralink, bringing together leading neuroscientists, engineers, and roboticists. The goal, as he describes it, is to create a direct bridge between the human brain and the computer. A bridge that will allow not only to read thoughts, but also to send information back to the brain. According to Musk, the first and most important step is the medical application of the technology. Neuralink, as he emphasizes, was not started to upgrade healthy people, but to help those who have lost basic functions. He envisions a world where people with paralysis will be able to move again, write, communicate, and live independently thanks to a brain implant. Musk has publicly presented the first test results showing animals with Neuralink implants interacting with computers. In one of the most iconic demonstrations, a monkey played a game by controlling a cursor with just its thoughts. For Musk, these images aren't just impressive. They're proof that the technology works. When the first human trials were announced, Elon Musk spoke of a historic milestone. People with severe paralysis were able to operate a computer and communicate without moving a muscle. He described these moments as some of the most moving of his career, claiming that this is where the true value of Neuralink is seen. At the same time, Musk does not shy away from discussing the long-term future. He has spoken openly about possibilities such as storing memories, instantly transmitting knowledge and telepathic communication through technology. To many, these statements sound exaggerated. To him, however, it is simply the next logical step in human evolution. Neuralink, however, has brought Elon Musk to the center of intense criticism. Organizations, scientists, and philosophers express concerns about the safety, privacy, and ethics of interfering with the human brain. Musk responds that every major technological advance is fraught with fear, like the internet or smartphones. For Elon Musk, the question is not if the brain-machine connection will happen, but when. He believes Neuralink is an inevitable part of a future where humans and artificial intelligence will closely coexist. Whether that coexistence will be liberating or dangerous remains to be seen. In the end, Neuralink perfectly reflects Elon Musk himself. Ambitious, risky, and deeply divisive. Some see him as the savior of humanity, others as a dangerous visionary. But, as with all his ventures, one thing is certain. Elon Musk has already changed the way we talk about the future of the human mind. The idea that the traffic problem of modern cities can be solved underground seems like science fiction to many. Yet, for Elon Musk, it was a spontaneous thought born in the traffic of Los Angeles. In 2016, irritated by the endless lines of cars, he declared that he would build a machine that would open tunnels to solve the problem. From this seemingly simple idea was born the Boring Company. The Boring Company was created with the aim of drastically reducing the cost and time of building underground tunnels. Traditional tunnels require huge amounts of money and many years of work, which makes them prohibitive for many cities. Musk believes that cities cannot continue to expand only on the surface, and that the solution lies in the use of underground space. The company's name is a play on words, as the word boring means both boring and tunneling. Despite the humorous name, the vision is very serious. The company aims to create underground networks where electric vehicles will move at high speeds, avoiding surface traffic congestion. The Boring Company's technological approach is based on three main axes. First, in building faster boring machines that can dig more efficiently than conventional ones. Second, in creating smaller and narrower tunnels specially designed for electric vehicles, thus reducing materials and costs. Third, in automating the process with less human intervention and greater precision. One of the company's most famous projects is the Loop system in Las Vegas. Beneath the city's convention center, passengers are transported in Tesla electric vehicles through underground tunnels, covering distances in just a few minutes. Where on the surface, the journey would take half an hour or more, the Loop offers fast and silent travel. Although the system has impressed many, there is no shortage of criticism. Many experts argue that its capacity cannot be compared to that of a traditional subway, and that reliance on vehicles is not a complete solution for public transportation. Others consider it an experiment that can be developed and combined with other means of transportation. Elon Musk himself sees the Boring Company as a first step towards multi-level cities, where pedestrians and cyclists move on the surface, cars on intermediate levels, and rapid transit systems underground. His vision includes quieter cities, less pollution, and significant time savings for residents. Whether the Boring Company ultimately becomes the main solution to the traffic problem or remains a bold experiment, one thing is certain. Elon Musk, once again, dared to question the obvious and propose a radically different approach. And perhaps this boldness is the first step towards the underground cities of the future. The idea that the traffic problem of modern cities can be solved underground seems like science fiction to many. And yet, for Elon Musk, it was a spontaneous thought born in the traffic of Los Angeles. In 2016, irritated by the endless queues of cars, he declared that he would build a machine that would open tunnels to solve the problem. From this seemingly simple thought, the Boring Company was born. Elon Musk, as a successful entrepreneur and visionary who sees humanity's big problems as technological challenges, has a clear goal: the transition to a sustainable civilization. Energy dependence on fossil fuels was, for him, one of the most urgent problems that needed to be solved. SolarCity was founded in 2006 by Lyndon and Peter Reeve, cousins of Elon Musk. From the beginning, Musk was actively involved as a key investor and chairman of the board, shaping the company's strategic vision. SolarCity's mission was clear: to make solar energy accessible and affordable for households and businesses, at a time when photovoltaics were considered expensive and difficult to use. SolarCity's great innovation was not just in its photovoltaic panels, but in its business model. Instead of requiring a large upfront cost, the company offered installation with no down payment and a monthly payment lower than a traditional electricity bill. In this way, solar energy went from a luxury to a practical option for millions of people. Thanks to this approach, SolarCity experienced rapid growth and became the largest solar energy company in the United States. At the same time, it contributed decisively to the spread of the idea that clean energy is not just an ecological choice, but also an economically viable solution for the future. For Elon Musk, however, SolarCity was never an isolated link. It was part of a comprehensive plan that connected energy production with storage and transportation. Solar panels on rooftops, Powerwall batteries for energy storage, and Tesla electric cars make up a single ecosystem of energy autonomy, without emissions and without dependence on oil. In 2016, Tesla acquired SolarCity, a move that caused strong reactions and disputes. Many argued that SolarCity was facing financial difficulties and that the acquisition involved high risk. Musk, however, argued that the union of the two companies was necessary to realize a single vision of clean energy, where production, storage, and consumption work as a whole. Although the SolarCity name is no longer used, its legacy remains strong. The company played a pivotal role in accelerating the transition to solar energy and profoundly influenced the way we understand energy autonomy for homes and businesses. Its work continues today through Tesla Energy and the solutions it offers. SolarCity was ultimately more than a business. It was a bold attempt to change the way the world produces and consumes energy. And through this effort, Elon Musk reaffirmed once again his philosophy that the future is built by those who dare to invest in it before it is even necessary. Elon Musk, one of the most controversial and influential entrepreneurs of our time, is not only the man behind Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink. His life outside of business, his relationships, public controversies, and tweets have managed to make him even more famous and controversial. Now we will talk about his personal life, his public controversies, and the influence he has on the world. Musk has been married 3 times, twice to the same woman, and then to other partners, which has caused a lot of publicity. His relationships and divorces have often been the subject of discussion in the media, making him personally as well as professionally controversial. Elon Musk has a total of 10 children from different relationships. His family is often in the spotlight as people are interested in how he manages to balance his personal commitments with his enormous professional responsibilities. Despite his enormous fortune, Musk is known for his strange work habits, such as 100-hour weeks, and for his open discussion about sleep, productivity, and time management. These habits make him both a legendary and controversial figure. Musk is famous for his tweets that cause a social media storm. From political statements to controversial comments about companies and financial issues, he has often found himself at the center of criticism. In addition, he has been involved in legal disputes and public confrontations with other businessmen, journalists, and politicians. These public confrontations show that he is not afraid to provoke or speak out about what he believes, even if it brings backlash. Despite his mistakes and controversial moments, Musk's influence on the world is enormous. In technology and entrepreneurship, he has changed the data in the automotive industry, aerospace, and renewable energy. On social media and in public discourse, each of his tweets can affect stocks, cryptocurrencies, and global discussions. Finally, he has inspired millions to dream big, from colonizing Mars to the possibilities of artificial intelligence. Elon Musk is not just an entrepreneur, he is a phenomenon of our time. Despite his personal mistakes, public controversies, and controversial statements, his influence on technology, entrepreneurship, and society is undeniable. His life shows us that innovation, ambition, and questioning boundaries can coexist with human mistakes and controversial moments. The story of Elon Musk is the story of a man who was not limited by the limits of his time, nor by the doubts of others. From his early years in South Africa, where curiosity and a love of technology began to shape him, to his move to the United States, his path is characterized by vision, perseverance, and risk. The founding of Zip2 and later PayPal showed that innovation can change the way we live and do business. Every business move of Musk, however, was not just an investment or a business success. It was a rehearsal for something bigger, for dreams that go beyond the limits of the Earth. With Tesla, Musk didn't just want to build electric cars. He wanted to prove that sustainable energy is not just an idea, but a practical option that can transform our daily lives. The same vision governs SpaceX, where every rocket launched is a step towards space exploration and the possible survival of humanity on other planetary bodies. But Musk's path has never been without obstacles. Investor doubts, technical challenges, personal difficulties, all have been part of a journey that tests endurance and passion. And yet, every failure became an opportunity, every crisis a reason for greater innovation. His life reminds us that technology is not just machines and software. It is the tools with which we can shape the future. It is the ability to dream bigger, to question the givens, and to create a world that until yesterday seemed impossible. Today, Musk's companies, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, the Boring Company, are not just business entities. They are expressions of a vision for a more sustainable, more connected, more daring world. The way we think about energy, transportation, space, even the human mind, is influenced by his own dedication to pushing the boundaries. In the end, Elon Musk's story is not just the story of a man who changed technology. It is a reminder that the future belongs to those who dare to dream, take risks, and work tirelessly to make their dreams come true. And like any great journey, his journey continues, leaving behind inspiration, questions, and new paths waiting to be explored. In short, Musk doesn't just show us how to innovate, he shows us how to see beyond the boundaries, challenge the givens, and imagine a world that's bigger, bolder, and brighter than we ever imagined.